I've been promoting adoption since the mid-2000s in my parishes, and then when I got a chance to be the state chaplain for the Knights of Columbus in 2012 to 14, at my talks at the fourth degree exemplification banquet, I always talked about adoption. And then one time, when I was asked to be the honoree, I also talked about adoption. Are we surprised? Okay. Here's my basic thing. We're throwing our kids away. Period. As a society, we got too many children left on the side of the road. Period. You don't have to go very far to find the examples. And if you take that internationally, India loses 40,000 children a year. Loses them. They don't go to orphanages or some other kind of care condition. They're just lost. China loses 540,000 a year. And they think they're doing well because it's down from 2 years ago by 1 or 1.5%. I think social justice demands that we work for a world where every child has the right and the opportunity, the conditions for a good dad and mom. It's that simple. Adoption is really the solution to these issues. Why? Chris brought it up this morning. Chris, I don't want to, you did such a wonderful job, but you hinted at it, and I'm going to develop it a little bit with your permission. He talked about the love of an adopted child and the love of a biological child. That they're the same. Am I right? Okay. How does that come about? With a biological child, you have the natural human impulse to take care of and raise your child as best as you see fit. But when you look at a child that is a stranger, when you look at a child that maybe is older, maybe you look at a group of siblings that come with problems, to love that child as though it's your own takes a unique act of the will. It isn't nature that carries you through the tough times. It is your will, your decision, your commitment to that child. We need to increase that, especially in our Catholic Church. The numbers of children available in the state of Wisconsin, the latest we could get numbers, and please correct me, 1,350. Okay, thank you. I'm so glad you're agreeable. With that, you see, even the organization of the Knights of Columbus themselves, if parents who met the conditions for adoption would move forward with it out of just the Knights of Columbus, we could clear that up in 2 years. Nationwide, the Catholic Church could adopt every child in this nation, I'm convinced, if we had the will to do it. So that's my speaking box. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. As they rightfully said, adoption is expensive, and that's why we have in Rice Lake, KC's, the Adoption Initiative Fund. Now, I want to tell you a little story about that fund. It started with a check for $1,000. Then they held a pancake breakfast. It raised $750. By the end of June, that was in January of 2020, by the end of June, we had $13,000 in the fund, and we did nothing. Nothing. No galas, no auctions, no, just word of mouth. Then we kept at it. I regularly get checks for $500,000 or as low as $2.15. They're all equally important to us. So, when I mention the word adoption to a young couple, the first thing I see in their eyes is dollar signs. I could tell because I've seen it when I've had to ask for the parish. They just go, and you can tell that the cost of the adoption in their imagination is above their means. We have accepted and paid off part of the expenses of one adoption, a relative adoption, a grandmother attempting to adopt her granddaughter, who has been living with her for 10 years. We also have given preliminary consent approval to an application, again, from a couple that want a larger family and cannot have any more than the 2 children they have. We're going to help them too. How are we structured? We take our June 30th balance of our assets We take 10% of that, and that is available for the next 12 months, July through June. We set that amount aside, and that's what we make available for grants. Now, I'm not here to say support my fund. I don't care. What I want you to do is change your attitude. Speak about adoption in a positive way. Speak about adoption and its capacity to be a great benefit for your family. I look forward to a day when Catholic families who have stable homes and stable incomes will consider adoption along with their biological children. Where adoption in a Catholic home is a regular and, dare I say, expected thing. If that attitude prevailed, there'd be more employees at Catholic social services, but there'd be fewer children without a good mom and dad. I brought along, of course, everybody's got to toot their horn. But here, we have these posters on the table back there. In fact, the two gentlemen here are going to pass them out to you. Take as many as you want, okay? We got a printer who needs work. All right? So take as many as you want, which guys, and we also have, I finally learned the name of these things. They're called rack cards to put in a rack. Who knew? Okay. But they are also very informative, good take it home things. And I have a bunch of, this is the first time in my life I've ever had a calling card. Is that what these things are called? Yeah. Are they still called? Yeah. Or business card? Like this. You're welcome to take as many of those as you want to. All I ask is use them. Spread them around. Put them on your bedroom mirror. Okay? And most of all, pray. Pray for children who need adoption. And pray for families that want to adopt and have adopted, especially if you know them. We have chosen St. Joseph as our patron. And remember, he adopted Jesus as a stepfather. Thank you.